Good afternoon and welcome to the Yourgene Health Plc AGM proceedings. Throughout this recorded meeting, attendees will be in listen-only mode. Questions can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. The company may not be in a position to answer every question submitted today. However, we'll review all questions and we will publish responses where appropriate to do so on the Investor Meet Company platform. I'd now like to hand you over to Dr. John Brown, Non-Executive Chairman. Good afternoon.
Well, welcome to the Yourgene Health AGM. Move on to the next. Oh, no, back one, Lynn. Yeah, just to give you an idea of the agenda for today, we're going to have the formal resolutions to begin with, and then Lynn will make a short presentation, business update, and then we'll throw the floor open for some questions. And we've got a hard stop, I think, at 3:15 when we'll call the meeting then, and then there's going to be the open day that we'll have a chance to see much more of the company and the facilities and meet some of the people. Right, Lynn, so move on to the next one. The presenting team today, myself, John Brown, I've just recently become chairman. I'm sure that Lynn Rees, our CEO, and Barry Hextall, CFO, are well known to you anyway. Lynn will be making the presentation. Barry's looking after all the administration of the AGM, and we're reading out the proxy voting numbers. So if we move into the formal part of the meeting, I'll begin by making a short statement, which through the wonders of time travel, apparently I made this morning at 7 o'clock, and you may already have read it, but it's certainly my pleasure to be at my first AGM as chairman of Yourgene after being on the board for 3 years as a non-exec. I'd like to thank my predecessor, Adam Reynolds, for his contribution to making Yourgene the exciting business that it is today. This business is a growing force in genomic testing and is addressing growth opportunities in non-invasive prenatal testing, oncology, reproductive health, and infectious disease, with an increasing presence in key overseas geographies, including North America, Europe, and Asia. We continue to see the core business performing at pre-pandemic growth levels, I'm glad to say. The team has done a great job during the pandemic, and having come through the other side, it's now better resourced and better equipped. We've made solid progress in the first half. We're now focused on a number of pipeline opportunities that will support growth in the second half and underpin next year's performance. The board, who are all here today, look forward to updating the market at the time of our interim results release in due course. Yourgene is distinguished really by its breadth of high growth value propositions, some of which represent near-term commercial opportunities to build market share, while others, I think, reflect truly accretive prospects to create longer-term value, including through the geographic expansion that I mentioned, and in particular, new product or service launches. I look forward very much to working with the board and to Lynn and Barry in particular, with our shareholders and the other management team members, some of whom are here today, to deliver the very best mix of these near and long-term opportunities. So we'll now move to the formal part of the business meeting, where we will hold a show of hands in the room on each of the resolutions, and then Barry will announce the proxy and vote results. So initially, the ordinary resolutions. Resolution 1, that the company's annual report and accounts, together with the reports of the directors and the auditors for the financial year ended 31st of March 2022, be and are hereby received and adopted. All those in favour? Any against? No. Barry?
So the votes, 196 million votes in favour, 3,000 votes were given chairman's discretion, and 39 million were against. That's 16%.
The resolution is approved. Okay, we now move on to resolution 2. Now, this is regarding the re-election of Mary Taverner as a director. Mary sadly can't be here today. She had a very long-standing domestic commitment that it was just impossible to move, but she sends her regards to you all. I'd therefore propose Mary's re-election as director. All those in favour? Against? Right.
233 million votes in favour, 3,000 Chairman's discretion, 4.7 million against.
Right. Resolution approved. Now, for the next resolution concerns myself, I'll ask Barry to conduct the vote.
Thank you, John. So yes, resolution 3, that Dr. John Brown, CBE, who retires by rotation, be and is hereby re-elected as a director. Those in favour? You in the room. And the 225 million votes in favour, there were 10 million against, which is 4%. So that resolution is also approved. I'll hand back to John.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Resolution 4, that Jonathan Seaton, one of our non-executive directors who retires by rotation, be and is hereby re-elected as a director. All those in favour, show your hand. Barry?
233 million in favour, 3,000 Chairman's discretion, 1.7 million against.
Resolution approved. Right, Barry, the next one concerns you. That Barry Hextall, retiring by rotation, be and hereby re-elected as a director. All those in favour? Against? No, Barry, you can. Thank you.
233 million in favour, 3,000 Chairman's discretion, 1.7 million against.
Okay. Resolution 5, regarding the auditors. But Safri Champions LLP be and are hereby reappointed as auditors of the company to hold office from the conclusion of the AGM until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company at which accounts are laid before the company. In favour? Any against? Right.
234 million in favour, 1 million against, 3,000 Chairman's discretion.
Okay, resolution approved. Resolution 7, that the directors be and are hereby authorised to determine the auditor's remuneration. Those in favour? Any against? Barry?
233 million in favour, 3,000 Chairman's discretion, under 1 million against.
Okay, so resolution 8. The directors be and are hereby authorised generally and unconditionally for the purposes of section 551 of the Companies Act 2006 to exercise all powers of the company to allot shares in the company and to grant rights to subscribe for or to convert any security into shares in the company up to an aggregate nominal amount of £70,000, being approximately 1/10 of the issued ordinary share capital of the company, as at the latest practicable date before the printing of this notice. Provided that the authority shall, unless renewed, varied or revoked by the company, expire at the close of business on the 29th of September 2023, or, if earlier, at the conclusion of the annual general meeting of the company to be held in 2023, save that the company may, before such expiry, make offers or agreements which would or might require shares to be allotted or rights to be granted after such expiry, and the directors may allot shares or grant rights in pursuance of such offer or agreement, notwithstanding that the authority conferred by this resolution has expired. What a sentence. This authority shall be in substitution for and shall replace any existing authority pursuant to section 551 of the Act vested in the directors as at the date of this notice, to the extent that such authority not being utilised at the date this resolution is passed. All those in favour? Any against? Aye.
233 million in favour, 3,000 Chairman's discretion, 2 million against.
Okay, we now move on to resolution 9, which is a special resolution that, subject to and conditional upon the passing of resolution 8, which we've just done, the directors be and are hereby empowered pursuant to sections 570 and 573 of the Act to allot equity securities as defined in section 560 of the Act for cash pursuant to the authority conferred under resolution 8 above, and or by way of a sale of treasury shares as if section 561 paragraph 1 of the Act did not apply to such allotment, provided that this power shall be limited to the allotment of equity securities. In connection with a rights issue or any preemptive offer in favour of holders of equity securities required by the rights of those securities in the company, in proportion as nearly as may be to their respective holdings on the record date for such allotment, subject to such exclusions or other arrangements as the directors may deem necessary or expedient to deal with the fractional entitlements or any legal or practical difficulties under the laws of or the requirements of any regulatory body or stock exchange of any overseas territory or otherwise, and up to an aggregate nominal value of £70,000, being approximately 1/10 of the issued ordinary share capital of the company as at the latest practicable date before the printing of this notice, and provided that the power shall expire when the authority conferred on the directors by Resolution 8 above expires, save that the company may, before such expiry, make offers or agreements which would or might require equity securities to be allotted after such expiry, and the directors may allot equity securities in pursuance of such offer or agreement, notwithstanding that the power conferred by this resolution has expired. All those in favour? Any against?
217 million in favour, 92%, 18 million against, 3,000 chairman's discretion.
Okay, thank you, Barry. So we had substantial majorities from the proxy votes for all the resolutions, you'll be glad to know. Well, that concludes the formal business of this meeting. The full results will be posted on the website as soon as practicable. And I'll now hand over to Lynn Rees, our CEO, to provide a short business update before we break. We'll take some questions after that, and then we'll move into the Investor Open Day for those of you that have come.
Okay, excellent. I've just lost the slideshow. Oh, there it is again. Perfect. Okay, well, welcome everybody that's here in person. Welcome everyone online. As I said, I'm just going to give a business update today. We will obviously be hosting interim announcements and business trading updates as we head towards the end of the year. So there'll be lots of time for further updates the remainder of this calendar year. Obviously, a lot of you guys know this. This is just a quick description of our business. We are a mixture of services and products. So genomic technologies, as you can see on the left-hand side, covers all of the products that we take to market. We started with our NIPT, and we moved into oncology with precision medicine. We bought a reproductive healthcare range of products. And we've now obviously launched Ranger Technology, which is our target enrichment technology. So those are all the products that we sell on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, those are how we take those products and we run them within our own labs. And we bring our own samples into our facilities, both here in Manchester and in Taipei. At the core of both of those product offerings is a set of core expertise. You know, we use our sample prep to make sure that we can get through to the cell-free DNA most quickly. That's the part of the DNA that we want to sequence. We then sequence that and use our bioinformatics capability to give the patient or the healthcare professional a result. So it's not a random set of products and services that we take out to market. It's a set of products and services relying on our core expertise and having the ability to either sell them through a service or sell them through a product gives us much more diversification to manage our business portfolio. In terms of current trading and outlook, obviously we're sat here in our new UK headquarters. One of my first ambitions when I joined Yourgene 4 years ago was to bring all of the entities under one roof. So to achieve that for the first time is a significant achievement. And I'm delighted for those who have travelled here today in person that you can see this. It strengthens our capacity and it supports future growth. But more importantly, it makes our processes far more streamlined. Having 5 small business units, even in the same geographical location, can be a challenge in terms of comms, and having everyone together under one roof has made such a difference. As John said in his update, we've made really solid progress in the first half of the year, with growth levels at the pre-pandemic levels. We look further to further updates of that as we finish the half year. But we've got a good pipeline of opportunities that will support growth in the second half of the year. You know, H2 is always a bit more weighted than H1, but more importantly, will underpin the performance for the next couple of years in the business. We have enough organic growth levers at Yourgene to deliver on the expected results of our organization. Ranger Technology continues, I believe, to have an extensive market opportunity across multiple market segments. Gosh, it's probably only about 6 weeks since I spoke to you last, so you know I can't really share any material updates. But the momentum for Ranger Technology continues at the same rate that we've been seeing pretty much since we acquired the business. So we remain very excited and very committed to commercializing that product. And we've had a continued investment into the organic and the outsourced new product portfolio build. We've invested in an organizational footprint that covers over 65 countries. It's important to ensure that that footprint or those teams of commercial people and technical people have a wide range of products and services on which to take to the market. And we're certainly delivering that. Just to go into a bit more granularity, you know, one of the big market growth areas for us is America. It's been the one part of the plan that I think was put on hold or certainly, you know, was delayed as a result of COVID. We found it almost impossible to get into the US market. We found it almost impossible for our customers to consider anything other than COVID in the last couple of years. That has changed. You know, I think when I updated you last, I shared that I'd spent quite a bit of time in the US market meeting customers. Those doors are open now. We announced a partnership with EKF last year. They bought a business called ADL that was fundamentally a COVID business. As COVID switched off, they were looking to pivot new products and services into that business. We have successfully installed our NIPT workflow. That's been validated and signed off. And we look forward now, you know, to work closely with the team at ADL to make sure that we maximize the market opportunity in the US for NIPT samples in that region. The other deal we announced last year was a two-sided deal with Ambry Genetics. Ambry, the largest provider of cancer diagnostics, hereditary cancer diagnostics in the US market. They have such a large market share. I think one of the ways that organization can grow is to look at markets outside of oncology. The first one they've picked is reproductive healthcare. It's the second fastest growing market compared to oncology. And they've chosen Yourgene as the provider of the NIPT workstream. You know, not only did we beat some quite notable competition to get that deal, but a partner with the size and the reach of Ambry. There's never a guarantee of success, but it certainly feels a very robust relationship. I promised you that we would be installing our NIPT systems in September. We are actively installing our NIPT systems in September. So one side of the relationship with Ambry is to move our NIPT workflow into the US. That is on plan. We've had the installation meetings and the sessions, and we will be installed and processing any NIPT samples by the beginning next financial year, if not sooner. So that's running exactly to plan. And obviously there's a stream of products coming over to the UK as well, which we look forward to launching in H2. One of the things that has happened with Ranger Technology, I think it has wider applications than we first understood. So we bought the business to really direct the technology into NIPT. And what we found is it had much wider applications. So one of the first licensing deals we did with Ranger was around infectious diseases. It's also being used in gene synthesis, which is fundamentally creating vaccines. And so to manage that market split, we've recruited 2 new sort of BDMs, business development managers in the US. One will look after the NIPT market. One will look after the market adjacencies, such as gene synthesis, such as oncology, so that we don't miss any opportunities with this very, very relevant and very exciting technology that I'll remind you is IP protected in our portfolio. And finally, it's not just about, you know, North America. We also have a manufacturing facility in Vancouver, in Canada, and we also have sales organization and commercial people in South America. So we're starting to see some very encouraging early stages of market penetration for the wider Americas. So first products being sold into South America, and sort of first products being shipped and sold into Canada as well. So taking advantage of that geographical location and growing the base out from there. As I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail today, and this is going to be difficult for you guys to follow online. You know, we've got an open day here today, so we're going to be showcasing our new facilities. We're going to give people the opportunity to see Ranger Tech working in real time, to sit down and meet with the technical team who, you know, develop the various reproductive oncology products. So there's a lot of work being done live in Manchester today as we host and manage those tours. But I just wanted to sort of finish my presentation with, again, a couple of facts about the organization. You know, currently providing over 100 products and services into the global marketplace. And when I say global marketplace, we have, you know, operating facilities both in Manchester, Taipei and Vancouver, very well invested facilities. You know, we upgraded Taipei 2 years ago, Vancouver last year. And for those in the room, you know, you'll see the investment that we've made in our UK headquarters here in Manchester. We have direct commercial presence now in US, Canada, Colombia, Taiwan, Singapore, Thailand, India, Australia, UK, France, and Germany. I mean, that footprint has expanded significantly since we set up the business. And the whole purpose of that is to have more people knocking on more doors with a very wide range of products to go and sell. We do sell, as I said, you know, indirectly to over 65 countries as well. So we have a very well defined and established distribution base. And to put that into numbers, you know, as an organization, you know, what do we actually do? Well, you know, we've brought in over 800,000 patient samples to our own lab. So where you're sat, well, not today, because obviously we just moved in here, but around this science park and in our facility in Taiwan, we have, you know, seen 800,000 patient samples that we've given results to. You know, we talk about the addressable market for NIPT. There's about 150 million new births each year. And each year, the level of adoption for NIPT increases. You know, we grow and grow that business year on year. We've tested over 2.25 million pregnancies as an organization since we launched our product into the marketplace. And we expect to do a lot more of that as the adoption of NIPT over the traditional methods for this kind of screening increases. And overall, that means we've sort of seen, touched, you know, spoken to, dealt with, provided information to over 4 million patients. So we're sort of, as a business, in that sort of, you know, adolescent phase. We're certainly not a baby anymore. We've got proper products, we've got proper customers, proper relationships in the market. For those of you that are in here in person today, you know, we're starting to look and feel like a real facility with proper UK headquarters, with everybody based under one roof. You know, and if you're in our Vancouver facility or our Taiwanese facility, you'd feel the same as well. You know, and the next stage of growth for us now is to consolidate off this platform and to continue to grow the business. And hopefully what this slide shows you is that, you know, as I said, we're not new at this. You know, we're starting to become experienced. We treat a lot of patients. And as a business, we've got these diversified income streams, you know, with multiple growth drivers. A really strong, you know, Q1 performance behind us and a confident outlook for the remainder of the year that we'll update you in due process as we go through the trading update and the interims towards the end of the year, Barry. So I think that's pretty much my last slide. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I think now we're open for questions. I think it's fair for those people that have attended in person. If we open up to any questions from the floor today, and then happy to take any of the online questions in the time that we have left. For any online questions that we don't answer or get through today, we will obviously make sure we follow up in due course. But as I said, you know, please understand that we are hosting quite a lot of lab tours and open day based activity once this AGM is finished today. So I guess without putting any pressure on anyone in the room, any questions, anything anyone would like to raise? Certainly.
Yes, thank you. Do you see any hurdles, not obvious hurdles? I mean, we're all facing a lot of hurdles at the moment and have done since the pandemic. Now with the political and everything else that's going on, as a company and excellent growth prospects, not asking you to look into a crystal ball, because if you have, I'd like to borrow it, but as an investor. But what do you think are the main aspects that are likely to interrupt or affect the vision that you've got on going forward?
I think we faced that biggest hurdle in COVID. You know, nobody saw that coming. And whilst as a business, not only did we jump that hurdle, I think we cleared it by some margin. It certainly slowed down the strategic progress of the core plan for 2 years. Now, we were one of the fortunate businesses that were able to pivot our skills, our people, our brilliant people, and our technologies to continue growing business. In fact, we delivered a record year during that period. But strategically, you know, as I mentioned, we weren't able to get into new facilities to switch things on to replace with new stuff. So I think we faced that industry hurdle. I think when I look outside of our industry then, I mean, you know, gosh, the world is besieged with problems at the moment, from high energy prices, high interest rates, inflation, you know, unbelievable, you know, conflict that I never thought I'd live to see through. So, you know, as a business, I think when you're faced with hurdles like that, you can only focus on what you can control. So the job, you know, of the team, the executive team, our non-executive leadership, is to really focus on the conversion of the business plan over the next 2 to 3 years. We believe that we've built the infrastructure to deliver it. We believe that we have the products and the services to deliver that. And it's just about executing that plan now. And likewise, if you ever find that crystal ball, please can we go half on that and share the rewards, okay? But hopefully that answers your question. I don't know, John.
No, I think you're right. The last 2 years, the travel restrictions in particular were the thing that inhibited this company most, because a lot of the opportunities are in other geographies. And in order to install machines, get them properly validated, get software work running properly, get training done, we need to have our people on site, and travel restrictions just prevented so much of that. So no, I don't think I've got anything more to add.
Thank
you. Any other questions? Saving them for the trip round the facility, I think. Yeah, Barry, are you?
There's a couple of online ones. So the first one's about the US market opportunity. And it says, are you able to capture the opportunity in the US single-handedly, or do you need to partner with existing providers? And it says EKF recently mentioned offering a bundled offering key to winning deals.
Interesting question. I mean, I think with EKF's technology, you would need to bundle it, because it's not up for me to speak about a partner, but you know, EKF's range is a very similar range to products that we have. You know, we're NGS sequencing products that are very new in the marketplace. I think the opportunity for our NIPT product is absolutely alive and well. You know, pre-COVID, you know, and I've said this a million times, so apologies for sounding like a stuck record, but pre-COVID, 80-90% of the samples that were taken in the US were sent to 3 or 4 super labs. You know, when COVID happened and those super labs were full of COVID tests and results were coming back 3 or 4 weeks later, double the price, it kind of kickstarted a movement within the US market to look at the decentralization of NIPT tests. Most labs, most hospitals, I guess, Hayden, have some sort of sequencing capability now. You know, it wasn't as new as it maybe was 5 years ago. They're more comfortable with it. And they're actively seeking for, you know, decentralized NIPT offerings. We're the only company in the world that offers that. So, you know, I think EKF have seen how interested the market is with NIPT, and what was an initial installation into their lab is, you know, could well grow into being more installations in a wider market base. I mentioned Ambry earlier on, you know, the market leader in genetic oncology or cancer testing. Such great market share. The next market they decide to jump into is reproductive healthcare. And again, I think, you know, the sentiment there is there's a decentralized market to go after. So I think, you know, the gentleman has asked this question today, you know, NIPT, absolutely not. We don't need to bundle that. We need to make sure we keep bringing new content to our NIPT offering, which is why through Joe Mason's team, we've launched you know, a range of additional services and product features on NIPT. But to my view, the market is still embryonic enough that as long as you've got a good product and you know, you're able to sell it, you can win market share. I think looking at some of the other products we've got, the likes of DPYD and the CF products, yeah, they will benefit from a more bundled approach. So as I've said before, we're looking for partners and distributors, you know, to help us with sales of those products in those markets, and EKF is certainly one of those very good, you know, partners that we found that can help us with that with that effort.
Next one is popped up. Very specific question. I'll generalise it a little bit. What kind of labs globally are we providing our technologies to? What's been the growth rate of lab sign-ups?
Reproductive healthcare labs, obviously. I mean, that's where the samples go when mums to be visit labs. But I guess it really depends on what territory you're in. And again, I look to Hayden. When you're in APAC, you tend to find labs do everything, and they don't specialise in one thing. They specialise in providing everything.
You have a genomic medicine laboratory, whereas you see in other countries and other geographies a little bit more diversification around, as you said, maybe oncology or in reproductive health. It's often a central point of NGS services. So it is a bit of a mixed model.
Yeah, it is a mixed model. I would say the one thing we are definitely seeing as a market trend over the last 12 months is there's quite a lot of cash in the market. A lot of organizations have made money during COVID, so they're prepared to spend that money to buy new equipment, new workflows. We're certainly seeing that in APAC in the first 6 months of the year. Barry, I think we shared at our last presentation, the number of installations have tripled in the first 5 months of this year compared to the whole 12-month period, during COVID. So that to me goes to suggest there's a bit more money in the market. People are prepared to deploy that capital to invest in new hardware. And once you invest in a sequencing machine that could cost anywhere north of £500,000, you want to put as much content on that as you possibly can. So yeah, I think the market is open for range selling. Specifically to that question, the type of labs you range sell depends very much on a regional basis, and we've structured our sales organization to match the types of customers we find. So as I said earlier, we've got specific reproductive healthcare and then oncology skill sets in America, whereas in APAC we have a more of a generic mix, because you tend to find in APAC that the labs will do all of those things. So horses for courses, I guess. But yeah, we made a big investment into that team over the last 2 or 3 years. We continue to invest, as I said. We've a couple of new heads in America, regreened the APAC sales force, and we've got a couple of vacancies open now in Europe. So yeah, I think we're well set from that perspective.
There's one here, then we'll wrap up with the final one. So this one John is going to take. We heard rumours that the company's up for sale. Can you shed some light on this?
This board and company are focused on creating value for you shareholders. This is clearly some rumour in the market. We wouldn't comment on anything like that. We're focused on doing the very best for this company.
Thank you, John. That leads into the next one. There's obviously a few questions about share price. I think the sort of best question in that area says, what's the plan for shareholder value in the long term?
Well, I don't think the strategic plan has changed at all, really. One of the things we wanted to have was a consistent strategic plan. It was about bringing more products and services to more international markets. As I said, I feel strategically we've had a bit of a 2-year hiatus on that in some key regions, specifically America, which has hurt us in terms of our sort of core growth, but we were able to replace in terms of COVID growth. That opportunity is still very, very much alive. It's just 2 years off. So I look forward to updating, our customers and our shareholders and the market in general, with those plans as we deliver them. The share price is a frustration. So, I can see people looking at me in the room, and I understand that. I'm a personal investor myself. I get it. However, when you look at the FTSE AIM all share market, I think it's down 40 to 45% in the last 12 months. The market has more sellers than buyers at the moment. So what can I do strategically? I can just focus on the things I can control. I can make sure that we keep running your business in a very effective way. Make sure that we keep delivering the high quality products and services that we offer through our technical department to our customers. And I firmly believe that good companies will bounce back, because people need to invest, and they've been invested in the strongest companies, and I believe we will be one of them.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. I think that covers all the questions that we've had through so far today that we can cover off. And if there's any further questions that do come through, of course, the team will have the ability to review those and we'll publish responses where appropriate to do so. Lynn, I was going to ask you just for a few closing comments, but I think we've just got those unless there's anything further you'd like to add before we redirect the attendees to give you some feedback.
No, I think, as you say, Paul, we covered that off nicely. It's been a pleasure to sit alongside our new chairman today for our first AGM. I want to thank everyone personally that's attended today. It's nice to see people in person, and I'm really looking forward to the open day that's going to follow this event. For those guys following online, we look forward to updating you with trading update and interims in due course. And thank you for your continued support. It's very, very much appreciated.
That's fantastic. I'd like to thank the board of Yourgene Health Plc for updating attendees today. Could I please ask attendees not to close the session, to be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order the board can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete and is greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the board of Yourgene Health Plc, I would like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That concludes today's session. Thank you and good afternoon.